Hi there, it's me again, your headset wearing ethics professor, Dr. G. In the last video, I suggested that one way of thinking about moral claims is that they are the kinds of things that could be true or false, which means that when you think about what to do and you think about what the right thing to do would be, you're asking a question about what kinds of reasons exist to do one thing or another. And so it might help to think in general terms about what this is like. And for the readings that you're going to be completing in this module about utilitarianism, what it's like to think about reasons like a utilitarian. So let's assume in some really basic way that whenever you do almost everything that you do, that you have good reasons for doing those things. I mean, today you've probably already completed like some near infinite number of small to moderately sized activities of differing scope, and you must have done those things for a reason. Now, in particular here, I'm not talking about the kinds of reasons that sometimes you give, which are really just explanations for like, well, why did I eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich today? One of the reasons why I eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is just that like I've eaten them so many times that I'm just sort of used to it and I don't really think about it, and so I just do it. This is an explanation for why I ate the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But if you were to ask me something like, what makes you think that that's an acceptable kind of thing to do? It's really clear that an answer like, well, I do it all the time is not a very good reason for thinking that it's acceptable to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So when we ask questions about why here, this is really what we mean. So by example that applies to you. So if you're watching this video, you're watching it because you are taking a class. So why did you do that? I mean, it's kind of a pain in the butt. You got to watch these videos and listen to me talk and do all these sorts of assignments. What kinds of answers would you give? Why are you doing this? Some plausible answers. Maybe you say, for instance, it fulfills a requirement in my degree plan, or maybe additionally, it looked interesting. Sorry about that, by the way. Maybe also you think that ethics is important, and so you should take classes related to important stuff. In each case, you might think we haven't really gotten to the bottom of things, but at least you've started to think a little bit about why you're doing what you're doing. One really basic assumption is that when people act, they do things that at least they think are good, but this could mean a couple of different things. Here you can see that there are three things on the table. Degree plans and their completion, doing things that are interesting and doing things that are important. These all seem very different, and yet it seems like one way of reading all of these answers is essentially identical, is that all three of these answers are just different ways of saying taking the class is good. Although maybe not essentially good, especially in the first case, it sounds like what the person is saying is that completing my degree plan is good, and therefore this class is good too. And in the absence of it completing a degree plan, maybe you'd say there aren't any good reasons to take this class, or at least I don't have any good reasons to take this class. If we continue to inquire about all these different kinds of things, this picture starts to get a little bit hazy. So I'm taking the class in order to complete this degree plan. I'm completing the degree plan so I can secure a job. I'm securing the job so I can get paid. I want to get paid so I don't go into debt. I don't want to go into debt because that would be very stressful. I don't want to be really stressed out because, I mean, I don't want to be stressed out because I don't want to be stressed out, right? Isn't it just bad to be stressed out? Surely any person who has ever been stressed out knows that being stressed out is bad. It's uncomfortable, it's unpleasant. And certainly there are lots of different studies that suggest that it's like harmful to your body more generally. So when we start to inquire about why we do what we do, we start to run into, in the short term, these different kinds of things which we might call instrumental goods. They're things that are good for the sake of something else, like the class is good for the sake of the degree plan, and the degree plan is good for the sake of the job, and the job is good for the sake of the paycheck, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at some point, we start to hit a wall, and it does seem like we begin to run into things which are just good and just bad. And one way of thinking about those particular things is that those are things which not only are desired, because we do desire them, but actually that those things are desirable insofar as everyone desires them. People certainly seem to disagree a little bit about what a happy life is like, but nobody disagrees that happiness is good. Different kinds of things might be pleasurable to you than they are to me, but neither one of us really disagrees that pleasure is bad, maybe unless it corrupts our lives or something like that, right? And certainly we might not always try to avoid all pain. Sometimes we're willing to tolerate it in certain cases, but none of us are probably willing to say that pain is just good. So, one very plausible way of thinking about reasons is that good reasons to do things, that is, good reasons for thinking that something is right or something is wrong, might rest on identifying what kinds of things are good and what kinds of things are bad. And really, it seems like you're doing this already whenever you decide anything at all.